Cooking with Caroline. Tonight, we're going to be cooking a special recipe from this cookbook, the North Melbourne Table. This is a cookbook that was published several years ago by the North Melbourne Primary School. You can read more about the cookbook in the description that accompanies this video, where I'm also going to provide a list of ingredients for the recipe. Tonight, the recipe we're going to be cooking is lime and basil macarons. But before we get started, we need to make sure that we're nice and limber, ready for the strenuous exercise of cooking. So let's start off with 10 push-ups. Okay, now that's done and I've washed my hands, we need to make sure that our oven's been preheated to 140 degrees Celsius, which is about 250 degrees Fahrenheit. I have a fan-forced oven, so I'm going to reduce that temperature just a little bit down to 130 degrees Celsius. Now, there are two components to our macarons. We have the meringue outsides, which is more like the bread of the sandwich, and we have a buttercream filling. So first what we want to do is we want to take 60 grams of desiccated coconut and blend it with either in your food processor, or if you have a ball mix or something, you want to blend it until it's sort of the consistency of breadcrumbs or almond meal. I'm going to mix that in a bowl with 110 grams of icing sugar that's been sifted. Now, my sifter is a little bit not so great, so I've just used a strainer or a colander, and you can use that as well. Generally, what you want to be doing is you want to just break up the icing sugar. You're also going to add the zest, finely grated zest of 1 lime. So we're going to mix all of that together. We're also going to then add, we're going to finely chop 5 large basil leaves. Now I find it easiest just to roll the basil leaves up like a little cigar and chop them like so. There's my basil. Into the bowl. We're going to mix that up. In a separate bowl, we're going to combine 2 egg whites and 40 grams of just regular sugar. Mine's a little bit thinner because I've decided to use caster sugar. And then what we're going to do is we're going to beat it or whisk it. I have an electric whisk here. We're going to go ahead and beat this until some stiff peaks form. It should be firm but not too dry. So this is going to form our meringue base. We've decided that this is stiff peaks, at least for tonight. We're now going to add the meringue to our coconut mixture. We're going to do this sort of taking about 1/3 of the meringue at a time and just folding that in gently into our coconut mixture. Now that we have our meringue mixture mixed up, we're going to add it to a piping bag. Now, a little tip with a piping bag is to make sure when you use it just to fold the top over. That way it prevents all the muck getting all around it. Then we're going to take a baking tray with, you've lined it with some baking paper, and you're going to go ahead and pipe small circles about 3 centimeters in diameter onto the baking tray. Then you're going to tap the tray, let it rest for about 5 to 10 minutes. While we're letting it rest, let's go ahead and do another 10 push-ups, shall we? We're now going to bake the meringues in a fan-forced oven at 130 degrees Celsius or a regular conventional oven at 140 degrees Celsius. So we're now going to let the meringues bake for about 10 to 15 minutes. While we do that, let's go ahead and do some more push-ups, shall we? How about another 10? Let's go ahead and start the buttercream filling, shall we? You're going to go ahead and start with 100 grams of room temperature unsalted butter. Just kind of chop it up into little chunks like that. And then 45 grams of sifted icing sugar. You're then going to beat that with your electric beater, maybe moving a bit if your cord's not long enough, until it's a nice pale color. That's going to take a few minutes of time. It's worth noting at this point that sometimes you might want to add some of your icing sugar more slowly and perhaps start beating your butter first so that it doesn't go everywhere. So you can see right now that what we've got is the butter and the sugar still quite yellow. We're going to go ahead and beat that some more. We're going to come back in a couple of minutes and it's going to be a lot paler in color. Alrighty, so I think I'm going to go ahead and call that is good. You're now just going to go ahead and add another 5 basil leaves that have been finely chopped, the zest of 1 lime. This time you're also going to add the juice of 1 lime. Going to just mix that all up together. So really, we were finding with the spoon that the lime juice wasn't quite mixing in. So what we're going to do instead is go ahead and use the mixer to try and mix this lime juice in more consistently, and hopefully it doesn't all go everywhere. Let's give this a go. Okay, now that that's all mixed together, we have another very important step. We need to do another 10 push-ups. Ooh, the macarons, the meringues are looking pretty good. Now, you know that they're going to be, that they're done when they come pretty easily off the paper. We're going to pull these out and set them aside to cool. While we wait for the meringues to cool, let's go ahead and do another 10 push-ups, shall we? So after you've washed your hands again, and you've got the meringues or macarons, let's call them meringues, are cool, you can flip them over, and what you want to do is take just a little bit of your filling, put it on the inside, or put it on the flat side, excuse me, of the meringue. Find another meringue that's good similar size, sandwich between the two, you can put it on your plate. And if you're very good, you'll have managed to make your meringues without a funny little nibbly knobbly bit, and they'll actually lay flat. But there's a couple there, and I think that's good for right now for us to go ahead and have a little snack of that. Liam, you can have one too.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So that's how you make lime and basil macarons from the North Melbourne Table Cookbook, while also doing 50 push-ups. Have a wonderful evening.